but Sapahi have proven time and time again to be better raiders. Let's see if I'm just full of crap or if I'm an oracle, though, because we are getting ready for game number 4. DeMu, already on match point, will whip out one of his top civs, the Ottomans. And Corvinus, well, he'll whip out one of the top civs of the year, the Rus.
Rus out here for Corvinus. He's got 3 scouts to work with, a lot of potential to find sheep, a lot of potential to get some deer kills. And on a map like Regions, you're making a rush to that left-hand side corner. That's where you have most of the hunt available. That's exactly where Corvinus is going. DeMu was there first, but looks like Corvinus still will get a couple of carcasses for him to work with. We'll have to keep an eye out on the bounty over here, though, because, as you see, there are small patches of deer to the left, but the players themselves only start with one large patch of hunt. So you might not see a lot of bounty collected here for a Rus player.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones because you'd think that Regions is OP for the Rus because you know where all the deer are going to be after the initial pack, right? And in fairness, there's 2 additional deer on this map compared to a normal map because stacks of deer are usually 7. Those small packs tend to be 4, if I recall correctly. Or were they 3? I'm pretty sure they went up to 4 a while ago. So, like, there's a little bit more gold, but your opponent knows exactly where it is, so he will hunt straight for it. And the Ottomans are one of those civs that kind of afford to a bit more because although it'd be nice to get loads of sheep, you always have the Madrasa to kind of pad your economy once you reach feudal age, which in games like this, in Empire Wars, is always before 2 minutes in.
First spearman out here for DeMu, doing some harassment. Not much damage done, not much value so far for that one spearman. Corvinus opting to go up with the Kremlin over there, and I think that's right next to the secondary gold mine here. So he could just shift to that other gold mine if he feels like the first one is just under too much pressure.
Yeah, now the thing for Corvinus here is like, where do you place the TC? Because this is 100% TC play, you saw him gathering stone. The spearmen have arrived. You now are limited. You're already handcuffed, right? Even if you pull gremlins, like, it's still going to be a hard fight to win. So if he now tries to play a TC out towards the Borberries, he could get intercepted. In fact, I think DeMu was just scouting out that side. He's trying to see if there's a pull, because even if you only scout it as he's coming and these spearmen are this far away, town centers do not build fast. So
he missed
instead,
it.
Corvinus...
Yeah, he missed the villagers heading to the south to the hunt.
Yeah, kind of surprised that he didn't move south here. Like, this mining camp doesn't really have any value at all. Whereas if you just sent your spearmen down, you could maybe, like, slow this down by an extra 20, 30 seconds. So, interesting choice by DeMu.
When you build that second TC, you want to place it on a source of food. And for Corvinus, there is basically one good place to place it at, that is going to be on the primary hunt. So the fact that he could sneak out here without DeMu noticing is a huge win here for Corvinus.
Oh, and check this. So Corvinus is paranoid. DeMu is doing a fast castle build. Quite rightly so. Like, when your opponent doesn't even try to block this play, there's only one logical reason. DeMu is only passively producing Sapahi. So Corvinus, quite rightly so, moves out and starts walling these in. This is one of the things that makes Rus so phenomenal in a lot of matchups, by the way. Even more so in Empire Wars. They get fortified palisade walls, a.k.a. this thing has 1,000 more health, so good luck getting in.
Yeah, you feel like DeMu now senses what's going on. He's going to send the spearmen around here. Might actually be looking for villagers sneaking out. Indeed, he does find one, so these walls will not go up. But at least some of the relics will be denied by the walls of Corvinus. The one to the east will be... The one close to Corvinus' base is going to be difficult to grab for DeMu anyways. And the one to the far east, to the far west actually, that should be easily takeable.
Yeah, but this should be 3 relics quite easily for DeMu, right? Unless he just doesn't leave a unit here and the villager sneaks back out. Like, there is an attempt right now by Corvinus to go to the western corner. That's a long run. And, like, ships in the night, him and DeMu's army just walked past each other. So he is going to get out there. And I believe he's going to have more than enough time to build the entire walls up before anyone checks in.
Yeah, armory on the way here for DeMu. On the other side, Corvinus will not lag that much behind with the Castle Age timing, but he doesn't really have any map control, so going out with Warrior Monks to pick up the relics feels next to impossible with those Sipahi roaming the map.
And, you know, the cool thing about Sapahi is even if you're passively, like, scaling into them, you tech up, it's still a unit that has a lot of value once you're in Castle Age. Small groups of these are actually more effective than Knights just because of how easily they scramble on top of villages. And this is a 2 TC play, so, like, Rus will get uncomfortably far from safety in the next like 7 or 8 minutes. High trade house, of course, is going to be coming out, but it's not a high value. It's not a high trade house. I call this a medium trade house. Actually, I'd probably call this a low trade house. Oh god, I call that okay. That's extremely low.
That's an upsetting position. You really feel like he was a little concerned about that Castle Age progress being stopped. Remember game number 2, where he had to cancel his implant mark on Warring Islands because of DeMu being there. Maybe there's a bit of a PTSD coming in from there. He's just going to place it at a safe spot, but it's not going to be the most spectacular high trade house ever built.
No, and DeMu, because he's so confident about his position, as he should be, he doesn't even use the Imam point. He's just going to build a mosque and build them normally, by the looks of it, which I actually really like here. Imam AoE heal is nice if it's like static point fights, but Roost players tend to play away from that idea, right? They play horse archers, they play knights. So unless you think this is going to be Imperial plus 30 minutes into the game, it's very hard to see a world in which the Imams pay for themselves with that AoE heal.
And a lot of walls coming up here for Corvinus. He knows that there is a quick build-up of army here for the Ottoman player. He's focusing on the eco. He needs a bit of a buffer. And as you highlighted, Rus will be more than happy building walls. Their walls being a lot sturdier than the normal palisades. And it looks like for DeMu, we have Mangonels coming in already from the armory. Lancers, Sipahi on the way.
Sick. Has Corvinus done? Okay, that was really important. So, like, he pulled that away just to make sure he could complete the wall before it would have got intercepted. It looked like there might have been a unit behind the lines for DeMu that almost blocked it. Yeah, the Spearman, he couldn't get there quite in time. That is a really important detail. Corvinus is playing full turtle mode. Like, he does not want to come out anytime soon.
Yeah, this is alarming for him, though. He's forfeiting all map control. Map control that DeMu could use to pick up relics and compensate for his villager deficit. And even if DeMu is behind in villagers, he's not going to be concerned about that. He's got the military schools to work with. I feel like Corvinus is playing... I understand his concept here, and he's playing very passively, very defensive. But I don't think that the villager lead that he has built so far is enough to compensate for that deficit that he's facing from the Ottomans having the military schools, from him forfeiting all map control. I feel like it's a little too much for that villager lead.
Okay, so you're focusing a lot on this idea of like, oh, the relics. I want you to think of another gold source here, something big that DeMu can play for now. He's got a lot of stone. If he just grabs the big stone line in the center of the map while he has map control, he can keep drop the center. And then Corvinus has limited time in this game. He'll have 8,000 gold total, and then whatever he gets from bounty, which is not going to be much compared to what DeMu gets on the other side. So keep an eye off that play in probably the next 2 minutes. Corvinus's army isn't easily going to come out to contest that, especially considering that DeMu is still scaling a lot of Sipahi to counter out crossbows.
Yeah, crossbows, they'll be a useful tool over here for Corvinus, and you see he's grabbing a tiny bit of map control for himself. Relics have not been collected just yet by DeMu, so if he gains some more ground over here, Corvinus could be the first one to collect relics. Spearman also being mixed in. On the other side, DeMu's very heavily focused on cavalry. Sipahi Lancers out there with Meter. Not a single range unit for him right now.
No, he's trying to control the script, right? He just wants to keep Corvinus contained. He's like, okay, if this is the gameplay style you want to play into, I'm going to make sure you don't deviate from it. So the whole logic now for Corvinus is to build up a big enough army that he can just confidently come out. The problem is, at the end of the day, you're eventually going to be playing out up against Mangonels. That's kind of a guarantee, right? Ottomans get them passively anyway. So unless Corvinus adds in some layer of siege soon, it's going to be very difficult for him to ever go out towards those fat gold veins.
Corvinus is so concerned about a potential overchop. He's going to surround his entire woodline with a wall. Like, you can tell that he doesn't want to give an inch for DeMu, doesn't want to give him any moment where he could possibly sneak in and cripple his eco. It's a big investment to make all those walls around the forest, but just goes to show the mindset that Corvinus has. He doesn't want to just have one catastrophic slip-up that takes this game away from him.
Well, it's actually kind of like more than that, right? It's the fact that he knows that he's up against Mascav, and they can just actually run for his production line to get to his eco line. So it's like, it is paranoia about the wood, but it's also like, okay, this much cavalry will just run past me. I need to make sure there is no weak point behind this. So mostly contained now, right? Only one kind of funnel point at the front of his base. DeMu, now is going to start adding in crossbows of his own, and he's adding in Janissaries. That's a more interesting element to this. There's no real reason to do that yet.
It's always a tricky choice, right? Against crossbows and spearmen, Janissaries won't be a direct counter, but it's also a very effective unit for the Ottomans in general, especially when you start buffing them with a Matter. And it also makes sure that Corvinus can never really switch into any cavalry of his own. A lot of things that we like about the Janissaries. It's going to be a good kind of backline unit when you have the Matter buffing them. I'm curious how heavy he's going to play Janissaries, though. I feel like we won't see a very heavy focus on them, at least not for the next few minutes.
No, I think it's like there's better things you can get your hands on, right? Like men-at-arms might actually be a better call, but obviously the crossbow's coming out. But you do have these mangoes. I don't think he knows about the springles yet, so maybe that'll change his mind. I like that we're still getting more Sipahi production. I think that's very valuable. The reality is, though, that these Janissaries, with that attack speed or especially, are just amazing gunners. So it wouldn't shock me. The only reason it would get worrisome is if you now see that Corvinus is adding mangonels, which, as we can see, he's only adding anti-siege.
Yeah, army numbers rising rapidly for Corvinus, though, and I'm getting worried for DeMu here. He's still lacking a ranged component very badly. He's just got 9 crossbows, 3 Janissaries. And now this is a respectable army for Corvinus. It's very heavy on the spears, sure, but it's not like DeMu has a lot of tools to deal with those spears.
No, but right now he's not being forced to, right? And that's why I want to see Corvinus being in kind of a strong position, do something with it, right? Like, you have the answer to the mangonels, you have the counter to the units that you're seeing from DeMu. If you just sit at home now, like, you're just playing into his hand, right? I'm not going to say the words fast Ottomans, because that gets weird around here. But, like, that's the end goal if you don't contest him. Not to mention the fact that DeMu did go for a second TC, so he's not falling further behind on economy anymore. You can't justify that angle.
Stonewall's on the way for DeMu. I think he's realizing that he cannot really take a direct fight right now. Needs to buy himself some time. The Stonewalls were scouted by Corvinus, so if he wants to make a move, now is the time. Especially because DeMu's banking up a lot of resources.
Yeah, and DeMu, he needs a different advantage, right? Because the relic play didn't play out for him in the end. Corvinus still managed to get 3 of them, so he needs to look to something else. That's part of the reason why he goes that extra TC, right? To play that catch-up. And when you consider the extra passive production he has, it does kind of match Corvinus, but the issue's always been this for the last few minutes. Your units are counted. When are they going to stop being counted?
Yeah, Springald's creeping up as well, and that's the concern for DeMu. He's got 3 mangonels, but no real response to these Springalds. So he's kind of being held hostage by that first mangonel already downed by those Springalds. This is a difficult position for DeMu, KP.
Mangoes. Oh, the formation pushback there. DeMu. It's getting worse. Now down to just 1 mangonel. And look, he's actually pushing it further away. So it's getting more and more dangerous. Mehmed now being sniped down. So many spearmen here. And DeMu still doesn't actually have the sufficient mass to counter what's coming.
Yeah, armor is going to go down very quickly over here. Corvin is doing some damage on the infrastructure.
I mean, honestly, against this mass, the Imam point might have been worth it. There's so much melee to deal with. Holding the front line here to make sure the crossbows aren't accessible. The Janissaries now moving in. Lancers, they're tanking a lot of fire here, not really doing much in return. It's buying time though, DeMu. He's shrinking the force here. Corvinus now running out of Springles. I don't think he can hold it much longer because there's not that many crossbows left. The spearmen can get wiped out by the ranged mass, but DeMu retreats more, just trying to start a step back and utilize those static point defenses.
Yeah, now he's got some range units, 14 crossbows, 10 Janissaries. It's enough to hold off these spears. What looked like a good push for Corvinus is now stalling out. He has done some damage. He definitely has pinned DeMu inside his base. But I think the big win here for him is that he has shut down DeMu's food eco. Only 180 food per minute for DeMu. Means that Corvinus is going to have some moments where he can build up his numbers. He actually popped out 24 of the militias, wants to keep pressing the issue, drops a keep on the front.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted DeMu to do earlier, but look how much stone he's got. He didn't have the stones to pull the trigger, though. Corvinus is going to beat him to the punchline. But Corvinus, I mean, the gremlins, they're not here yet. This is problematic. You could get dove before it goes up, and the villagers now coming in with the counter keep play. That's going to pull the attention of the gremlins instead. Means he's going to clash out on the front. Most of the spearmen are starting to fall here, but forces the retreat. DeMu cannot get it up. Corvinus stakes his claim.
Yeah, DeMu can't even get a keep up that is stalling this push out right now. You see the Gremlin are chasing all the villagers to the back. They should expire in a brief moment. Means that DeMu will be able to start building his own keep. But once again, DeMu is pinned inside his base here by Corvinus. Corvinus just relentless with these renewed assaults.
Yeah, but that was the big kind of like shoot it all at once type moment, right? Like I think that was every ticket of the Gremlins. We're only 15 minutes in the game after all. So like that, you get that play once realistically, unless we go much deeper into this. But it does mean you've claimed the biggest thing possible on regions, right? Now you've secured long-term gold investment. Now DeMu does have a lot of gold in reserve. In fairness, his comp hasn't been like heavily straining him in that regard. But if we do go deep enough, what can you do?
He might have a window to grab this gold mine, though. Oh, he's trying to build a keep, but he probably won't be allowed to buy these spearmen initially unless he takes this fight.
No,
Corvinus not stopping this, though.
Corvinus can't stop this. Like, if he takes this fight right now, he loses all of his army. And the fact that he's even going to try to, he's going to get surprised. Because look, DeMu, he's holding just out of fog range. Punishes him for even coming in. So, keep is going to go up. That's going to secure a gold vein. That's also going to prevent any quick route towards DeMu's base. And you could even snake forward onto the stone on Corvinus' side here. Maybe turn this into kind of a defensive line of keeps.
Yeah, Corvinus' military population just not good anymore. And you see, as much as he has gotten his own keep up in the middle, he's not denying DeMu the gold here. DeMu does have access to that large gold vein. So does Corvinus to the east. But at the end of the day, resource denial did not work out perfectly here for Corvinus. He's still very heavily focused on the spearmen, but now DeMu's got a counter to that, a soft counter that is crossbows and janissaries, but it will deal with the army that Corvinus has right now.
The other way to think of this, like, that keep was meant to contain, but he never got any walls or anything, so like, there was always a way out, right? Like, usually the keep drop is to secure gold. Corvinus just didn't secure gold. Like, he isn't even gathering himself, right? He's going to try to crawl another keep to the central vein by the looks of it, as he has been gathering that stone on the front side. Question is whether he's going to be fast enough. Now, DeMu, he doesn't have any direct counter to a build-up. Like, he hasn't gone for a treb, right? But Corvinus, we know he's a greedy boy with his aggression, right? If he drops this keep a bit too close to DeMu's army, there could be hell to pay.
Yeah, things have slowed down here a little. Corvinus now going for a couple of trebuchets. Still very heavy on the spearman he is. And now he's got enough stone for a second keep. Might try to drop it such that he denies that one gold mine that DeMu has access to.
Ram's coming in, though. And keep in mind, Corvinus' army is far away, and he's forced to cancel the keep and garrison the current one. Now, I don't believe there's any boiling oil in play here. There rarely ever is, so there's going to be a full commit dive. Attack speed are also affecting those Rams, so just a little bit faster. Corvinus now going to attempt the repair here, but you're actually just bashing your head against the wall and dying. There's no way you can keep this up. The wraparound now comes from the cavalry. Corvinus, after all that effort, after all that he's done, this castle has not really achieved any of his win conditions.
It certainly didn't. And I feel like part of this is just the army still being a little lackluster for him. The composition hasn't changed for the last 8 to 10 minutes. Whereas for DeMu, he has adapted to what Corvinus threw at him. Now his army is capable of beating the one from Corvinus. Met are still out there in large numbers. He's got 7 of them on the field. Means that he is going to have the Matter buff essentially no matter what Corvinus does. And for now, Corvinus is the one that's getting pushed away from the middle. And it is DeMu with the match point here. Corvinus, he's getting very close to a now or never situation.
And I love these details like the imams, just to keep the spam heal all around going around. Also, so many metas from DeMu, just to prevent any like insta-snipe. Because this aura really has been the game breaker that stopped Corvinus from ever really biting back. And now, the only thing he has in his purview is stone, right? He's exhausted all of his gold, I think. He's maybe got, has he got like 2k left? And then it's passive gold. Passive gold is nice, but like if this turns into an Imperial race, DeMu, once he fixes that food, is thumbs up. And fixing food's a lot easier than fixing gold. And I mean, this assault, it's kind of do or die for him. There's so many sprinklers behind this from DeMu. Maybe a few too many. Rams now shuffling around the side. They're unanswered. Oh, he forces the cancel, so keep still up. And the Spearmen, they're not burning anything down here. They're just kind of running around like headless chickens, which is really benefiting DeMu.
Yeah, look at that. They are just charging that group of Janissaries with no support from the crossbowmen, no support from the Mangonels. All the Spearmen have been massacred before they did anything. And now there's just no troops supporting these Rams and Mangonels anymore.
I'm perplexed what the move there from Corvinus. Like, it's almost like DeMu forced him to make this bad choice, but that dive, like, that cost him everything here now. Like, Rams following up afterwards, but now there's nothing to defend this, right? There's no army to assist the Rams, so, like, villagers can be annoying, slow this down. Also, even if you now try to get the keep up, I think you're going to lose quite a lot. Not just the army, probably half the villagers, if not more. In fact, with this attack speed, if he just diverts forces now across, I don't think you build this.
Yeah, that keep is not going up, KP. Janissaries should be able to deal with this. Mangonel's trying to slow this down, but that keep should not be going up here. Corvinus has to bail with the villagers even.
I am very doubtful about Corvinus' keep placements in this game, and this is another one to add to the list. He doubles down for it against Janissaries? Okay, more villagers coming through. Now, Spring trade out is starting to favor him, right? But high price paid here. High price paid essentially to once again secure stone. He still hasn't got his hands on a big gold vein.
He's just sacrificing too much now. And look at Corvinus' eco. 50 villagers idle at the top of the screen. He's running out of juice here, KP. Neither of the players has a massive army, but it's DeMu with the map control. Corvinus, he wants to go into Imperial, though. He is building the high armory.
I mean, LidaKor, like this right now is DeMu showing Corvinus. Okay, so this is where you're meant to place a keep on regions, and you didn't place it, so I'm going to place yours for you as well. Like, he secured all the gold here. Yes, the tech up's coming out, but he has no army behind this, right? It's a very dangerous move to make. DeMu does still have a big concern, which is his food. He has never fully addressed that. In fact, if we check the back of his base, I don't think he's built any farms still, maybe a few. He needs to fix that fast. Otherwise, Imperial isn't feasible for him.
Yeah, once Corvinus gets to Imperial with a high armory, he is going to have bombards available, but more importantly, he's going to have the extra range on his Springolds. That's going to be so much needed against a massive group of Springolds that DeMu already has.
But great bombards are insanely tanky on the flip side of that, right? Which is, like, players have been frustrated by that unit for quite a while now. So it's a bit perplexing to kind of, get enough Springolds together, because then you haven't got a front line to defend them. Good luck with that. So they'll be able to pull away. Don't you just love that AoE heal? It's been so valuable in this game, man. Like, honestly, since he took that point, things have turned around, right? Because he took the Imam point when he was being dove at his TC, and it won him a fight there. And now it's made these fights really sticky. Corvinus hasn't really come out ahead in the last 3 major engagements.
Yeah, Sacred Sites are now ticking down, by the way. It just shows how much map control DeMu has. It's not a big thing right now for DeMu when it comes to win condition, but it's also a lot of passive gold income. Passive gold income that Corvinus isn't really taking away. And you see, there isn't even an intent at this point from Corvinus to stop that, because he needs to focus so much in the middle.
Trebs, they are a slow method to get through this. Corvinus still only having one of them, though, is problematic. It's buying a lot of time for DeMu to get into gold. There is actually concern at this pace that he just buys the food required for that tech up. And that's when we get into that limited resource territory, right? And when we get there, we are talking about the Ottomans, where they don't pay for what they get, right? They get the 5-finger discount on production. So, villagers are going to keep being sniped. The deaths of these villages are less relevant in small numbers, right? Because, like, it's been 2TC on 2TC for a while. Another thing that's kind of concerning is those sacred sites. Like, I actually would love to see DeMu just wall them in with even just a wood wall, slow this game down, because it's 7 minutes left on the timer, and Corvinus hasn't sent a single unit out yet.
Yeah, another push of Rams. It's going to get cleaned up once again. The amount of anti-siege that you have here for DeMu is just way too overwhelming for Corvinus. He's got the range, but not the firepower.
Yeah, so many Springolds here. I mean, he's also got all these trebuchets. There's an insane amount of siege here from DeMu. 45 of his pop is into siege. He's relying on this static point defense to defend him. Gets rid of the enemy keep. Just going for the repair here. Mangonels are actually cleaning this up because the spears are not targeting them. Finally, we'll get rid of them. These Springalds, I mean... What on earth am I looking at here? Is this Age of Empires 2023 or Age of Empires 2021?
And now you have the Sipahi moving in. Nice patience by DeMu, waiting for Corvinus to exhaust his munition before sending in the Sipahi to deal with the siege.
That's just a freebie right there. You're right. That time was perfect. Now this keep drop. I mean, this keep drop. You're in front of trebuchets, man. What?
It's not working. It's not working. The Rams get taken down, and I think the keep might stand here for DeMu. As I'm saying that the keep goes down, villagers now being pulled. What an absolute madness of a game. And KP, DeMu is down to just one army.
Well, technically it's 28, but yeah, one actual man ready to fight. The rest is just siege. Villagers finally say, that'll be, leave him be. They'll walk away. Now, despite what happened there, Corvinus, he still has the stone to build a keep up. But he's going to have to keep up this momentum now, right? Because DeMu is quickly rescaling an army. He did get his tech up. There's no denying the price was high, though. The exchange point is concerning. But keep in mind that DeMu still has enough gold to get some elite techs in. And then the units he's going to be producing are coming out of those military schools, so no need for gold.
Yeah, he's building back that army, and remember, the numbers are a little deceiving over here. Some of that army for Corvinus is just militia. Militia that is about to expire in a few moments. At least they might take a couple of Janissaries with them, but yeah, they do expire. And
no, LidaKor. That's just Janissaries. Janissaries are that OP. Did you see how quickly they killed all those units with one shot? Jeez.
Of course. Of course. Side note worth noting is that Sacred Site Countdown is now down to 4.5 minutes. As crazy as it sounds, if Corvinus doesn't take away one of those, it becomes a realistic win condition for DeMu.
Can we check the berries? Because he has units there. I don't know what they're doing, though. They're definitely not stopping a win condition. Okay, well, they're killing villagers, but, like, hear me out. That this is going to ping DeMu, and when it does, he just builds a wall around this, and those are crossbows. Right? Like, please send something. I've seen games like this. I'm getting flashbacks to a series that involved DeMu before, and Sacred Sites, and it went well from there as well. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, army numbers still looking a lot better here for Corvinus, but most of that are just spearmen. Finally finds an opening here, picks off a bunch of villagers, and you know, KP, DeMu...
Wow, he's just not reacting.
Yeah, he's entering danger zone, KP. His eco is just awfully feeble now. He's down to just 60. Sure enough, he's getting a lot of free units, but is that enough to compensate for an eco deficit of 60?
If you can get to 200, yes, but that's a very long way away. That's wild. The amount of villagers lost there, he finally pulls them back, but just so many dead. So many lost in the mid-map as well. Corvinus, right, like he's getting into Streltsy. This is really tough now. Now, the one opening DeMu has is that there's no Springal play anymore from Corvinus, right? So if you switch Mangoes or you get a few great Bombards together, Streltsy go bye-bye. But that still requires a lot of time, and I'd be very surprised if Corvinus just sits back and allows that to generate.
Yeah, DeMu is out of gold now. He has to fight for this gold mine. It becomes a now-or-never situation for him. Has a lot of Springals to deal with the Rams, though, and it's mostly just Spearmen from Corvinus against those Janissaries. Might give a window for DeMu to take this position.
Oh my god, he's just trying to harvest through it. Like, he needs the gold so badly. That is a third of DeMu's economy. That tells you everything about the state of this gold right now. Sipahi pulling back for the time being. Not many Spearmen here, however. And once they're gone, the Sipahi, I mean, they're just going to eat up those Streltsy, right? Those are elite bad boys with double range. They can stab past each other. They need to get on that backside. And the Streltsy, in the meantime, just picking them apart. Great Bombard does finally arrive. Villagers able to address the Ram. DeMu also now running out of wood fast as the secondary raid comes in towards that tree line. DeMu at risk of going under 40 eco.
That is unreal, KP. He's not even replenishing his eco at this point. He just keeps bleeding villagers, not rebuilding them anymore, trying to make a push against that keep with the Great Bombard. At least he secured some access to gold for himself. But there goes the Great Bombard to the Spearman and the Streltsy. And DeMu is just running out of juice. Corvinus very close to taking this one to a game number 5.
That Great Bomar's like, you over there. That one crossbow is like, me? Like, ignores all the Streltsies. It doesn't even get the splash damage value at all. And now DeMu, I mean, he's pushed back into his base. This is about to be a 4 eco up for Corvinus. This game is absolutely wild. The swings and roundabouts, right? Corvinus in a key position takes control. DeMu able to bounce back when the vital gold gets on the table. Corvinus swings once again, is able to deny those keeps. And from there on, just feels like he started to flood the map in a way that DeMu's never had the answer. Yes, you've got this passive production. Yes, it is 3 units. But I cannot, in good conscience, tell anyone it makes up for a 90 villager deficit.
It certainly doesn't, KP. Corvinus 100 villager kills in this game, 27 only for DeMu. The last 20 minutes of this game was DeMu bleeding villagers, and Corvinus did not. Corvinus grinds down DeMu here in game number 4, takes this to a decider game, and KP, this is exactly that momentum switch that he wanted. This is exactly that mental boost that Corvinus needed to upset DeMu in this series.